I don't know if we had too many chances tonight, so I don't know if he missed one earlier that I just missed, and then he responded with the goal that he scored in the second half. But his maturation, his development, his ceiling, which keeps getting higher and higher, I think, yes, he's trending in the right direction. I mean, we love having him around because he's a kid that's willing to learn, listen. He pays attention. He actually applies what you tell him. So I think earlier in the year, up until he had that first goal, okay, and then there was a stat floating out there somewhere that he hadn't scored in like 8 or something, something like that. Those are kind of things that just happen with goal scorers. They go in little ebbs and flows, and the last 2 games he's had 2. So you guys tell me if he's in a upward tick or he's in a little lull. You guys can tell me.
Moss?
Going back to character, Coach, the play of Torres in the middle started out, it looked like they were dominating the play, but you guys settled down and your defense kind of found its wits and was able to stem the tide.
Well, you bring up Nelson Valdez, who is a massive part of our team. You saw him, who has his groin was sore. You saw him holding it throughout the second half, so he was able to power through that. Yes, we were 2-1 ahead. They had to come out. Whatever I said in the press about, we're going to try and score the first goal and try and get out of our half. Really, again, like Dallas didn't manifest itself. Credit to Pablo and the Rapids. I mean, they took it to us in the first half. And we got out of that first half, and we're able to try and make some adjustments. And I think those first few minutes of the second half, we were able to get some balls in their end of the field, and I think that helped. Nelson was a big part of that. He was a big part of that throughout the game. But you saw his one breakaway. You saw lots of duels that he won. I mean, he's another character guy that really made a big impact in the game today.
All right.
What do you make of just the historic nature of the accomplishment of making the franchise's first ever MLS Cup, especially from the perspective of where you guys came from with all the struggles earlier in the season to where you find yourselves now?
My first answer to that is we're not finished yet. To take Ozzy's words, we're not finished yet. And then the second answer to that is I'm very proud of this franchise. The fans deserve that. They deserve it.
Grass?
Coach, Jordan, it looked like was laboring a little bit, especially over the last 20 minutes. You guys still had 1 sub left. Was there any conversations maybe about pulling him off, or with anything in particular, especially with him around out there?
We had a lot of conversations that during the course of a match you have to talk with your assistants, you have to analyze the game, make judgment decisions on the fly. Yes, we talked about it, but again, to the first question, Jordan's a tough kid, and I didn't want to take him out, and so he persevered.
Matt?
To Ari's question, Sounders made 2 soccer bowls in the 70s, and just the significance of making the first MLS Cup Final from 2009 to this point.
Didn't we make one in the 80s?
78, 81.
I think you better check your facts.
70s, one in the 80s.
Okay, all right.
Significance of this
Okay.
as far as
The significance of this is that it's now, and we are creating these moments now, okay? Because if my memory holds correct, I was at one of those soccer bowls, so you better check your facts. The moment that we've created for the 200-plus fans that drove or flew all the way here on a holiday weekend to Colorado, to the 40-plus thousand fans that we have every Saturday, every home match, it's very significant. It's significant to the fans that were watching us in Memorial Stadium back in the 70s. So it is significant. It is another chapter, but again, we're not finished yet. We have to make sure that all of this culminates with something really big, really great, a really special moment that people will talk about for many years.
Steve?
Coach, congrats on the win. First off, what was your message to the team at halftime? And second, how did you decide between subbing off Valdez or Morris, who both looked like they were struggling?
Well, what we told them at halftime was twofold. First, we had to get the emotion out because I didn't think we played well. I didn't like the fact when, the ball was going out towards the corner flag and Joven and Steph were fighting, and everybody else was standing and watching. I didn't like that. So we needed to make sure that the emotional part got out of the way, and then we focused on some tactics, trying to make sure we took care of Jermaine Jones, who was very effective for them, trying to make sure our pressure was in the right spots at the right moments. So there were some tactical things, there were some emotional things, and the substitution at the end of the game just came down to, I felt Jordy would still give us that threat of really getting in behind, where, Nelson is more of a really back to goal number 9 and could hold the ball up for us. But I just wanted I wanted their defenders to think, I got to watch out for Jordy.
From here's on the question.
Mark Cummings, MLS Soccer. How much did altitude affect the tactics? You mentioned the tactics a couple of times. So
Nothing. They took it to us in the first half because they were just better. We were able to persevere, and I think in the second half you saw both teams tired, but I think our team, was able to get the goal through, a great piece of quality, and then they had to push, and, that was the storyline to the game. The storyline wasn't altitude. It wasn't, the field conditions or, the wind or anything like that. It was two good teams slugging it out in a playoff-type atmosphere in front of what I heard was a very good Rapids crowd. I mean, I heard them when the game was ready to kick off. I mean, it was a playoff match. And for that, I think all of us in the room appreciate that.
John Meyer, Denver Post. First, we're all aware of the great turnaround that your team has had in the second half this year. I wonder if you could address what you've seen in the Rapids and Pablo over the course of this year. I'm sure you're aware not much was expected of them at the beginning of the season, and they had a really sensational season. Maybe you can comment on how they play or how Pablo has coached this team.
Yeah, thank you for that question, because when Zig was still here, I did the pregame scouting for the teams, and we played them twice early in the year, and I told the staff as I was watching film that that's a different Colorado team, because Pablo instilled in them a belief that they could win. And that was the takeaway that I saw, not just by, you feel and your senses during the course of a game, but even watching them on film, I could get a sense that they believed that they were in every game. And they made it difficult for teams to beat them, which is the trait that carried them throughout this season. So again, credit to Pablo and getting his players to believe. And like I said, it was a playoff series. It was tough. That was not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination.
Matt?
O'Neal comes in, Joven Jones goes out far right. Talk about his role in 1982 in San Diego, by the way. His role on the right-hand side.
I was there. I know.
And how things opened up with Joven on the right.
Well, Joven plays that position for his national team, and we kind of joke and laugh about it in our circles, in our coaching circles, that we would never play him as a right winger or a right midfielder like Trinidad does with Joven. But today I did it, so I should be laughing at myself. Fish has done a good job. He did the same against Dallas in that second leg against Dallas. I have a lot of faith in all the guys on the bench, and it was an unfortunate injury that happened to Ozzy, and we were just again on the fly, just dealing with stuff, making decisions, and that was the decision we came up with, and it actually worked in our favor because Joven was able to find that ball, and then he's fast enough, he's good enough to get by the first or second defender, and we were able to relieve pressure.
Matt?
Kind of building off what Brian asked, it looked like when Jordy limped off after the goal that you guys had a quick little exchange there. What did he say to you that led you to believe that he could continue? And then also you mentioned Ozzy's injury. What was the injury that you picked up?
It is a slight knee sprain. I'll answer the easy one first. And Jordy said, I'm still going to play. He's a tough kid.
As a veteran who covered the old late great NASL, I'm wondering what you were doing in 1982, how old you were, and what brought you to soccer?
82, 62, so I was 20. And we were down in San Diego, and it was a great experience.
Were you a soccer fan who was at the game?
I was actually playing for the club.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was playing for the Sounders at that time from 80 through 83.
Oz?
Going back to tough kids, Christian Roldan just seemed like you moved him from one side. He was offensively, he was defensively. What can you say about him?
Well, thank you for that question, because I love talking about that kid. So in the first half, we didn't play our best soccer, and again, it was credit to Colorado. But Christian was the one kid that seemed to find always that extra gear, was able to track guys down, was able to do some of the defensive work, as well as collect a few balls and dribble into their half of the field and again relieve pressure. So that pairing of Ozzy and Christian has been dynamite for us. And again, it's just another stepping stone in his growth. We talked about, Jordan growing as a player, Christian in his second year. His ceiling keeps getting higher. I mean, that kid can now start being way up here.
Yeah.
Is it physical as well as mental when you talk about his growth? I mean, it seems
For
like
sure.
both of them are going up.
Look, he's good physically, and we talked about Pineda giving him the kind of, little insights of being a good pro and how to train and all of those things. Then again, he, like Jordan, he's coachable. When you actually coach him and tell him things, he listens, and then he applies what you tell him. So he has been on a meteoric rise as well as Jordan.